All right. So I think I'm using StreamYard again today just so I can see the difference.
Okay.
Appears to be part of the problem is StreamYard because we got more viewers after the show was done.
Okay.
And yesterday we only did Facebook. So I'm going to see what's going on today,
Okay.
and you know, and then we'll kind of figure it out. I know part of it is that, man, Facebook needs to go the way of MySpace,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
something else needs to take over.
Right.
Because it's a bad situation. But we're gonna make the most of
We're gonna
it
make the most of it.
and do our thing. So anyway, yeah. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is gonna be very very hot, very very hot. It's gonna be very very big shoe, very big shoe.
Yeah.
Ed Sullivan for people who are too young to remember.
Mhm.
Very big shoe, very big shoe. So tonight is Checkmate, a conversation about Black women's sacrifice of Black men via proxy violence. And I know a lot of men will be able to relate. Hopefully, the discussion will be enlightening for Black women so that they will be able to relate as well. In the game of chess, the queen has one assignment: protect the king. But instead of that, we got the so-called queens demanding that Black men kind of pander to whatever it is that they think is relevant
Right.
and risk their safety, risk their lives. Like Tupac said, there's a lot of real G's doing time because a groupie bit the truth and told a lie. And there are a lot of women who are completely cool with asking, demanding that Black men risk their lives for them. And I mean, I've been there. I'll talk about it tonight. It's completely cool with me, but that's not Black love. That's not the queen protecting the king. That's the so-called queen just having some fun, feeling good, having someone step in and risk their life, their safety, their freedom because they want to play games. They want to be able to say, you know, uh, Black men need to do X, Y, and Z for Black women, and it's a bad situation. It's bad.
Yeah. It is a bad situation. So so first of all, let's talk about what proxy violence is. So essentially, proxy violence is when you use another person to inflict harm or danger to someone else. And, we've historically had so many examples of proxy violence. If you even what's we've been talking about in the news so much recently, and that's looking at the Emmett Till case, where you have this young boy, this young teenager who is murdered in the most horrifically barbaric manner that anybody could imagine.
Yeah.
And it's done because um, there are lies told about what he supposedly did. Women, and so that we are clear, proxy violence does not necessarily mean that the woman is initiating this. But what we are bringing to light tonight is that within our community, we have this going on. and we've got to talk about it. We've not only got to talk about it, we have to identify it loudly. I know for me personally, I didn't even know that um, proxy violence was a thing until I want to say, and I was searching high and low for this case, and I could not find it. And watch tomorrow, I'll be on Google and it'll pop up.
It popped right up.
Pop right up. But there was a case in DC, I want to say in the early 2000s. It was at a really popular nightclub. And this young woman was at the nightclub with one of her girlfriends and a guy friend whom she said was just, one of her friends. And so apparently there was a man there that says something to her that she found offensive. And rather than let it go, she went and found the guy friend to protect, her virtue. And so he confronted the man, and the man was not having any of it and shot him to death. That was the first time that I thought to myself, oh my God, do people really do this? Was what in the world could he have said to her? That's not a trick question. It's nothing. It's nothing
Right.
that it would have required her to leave the situation, go get somebody and say, oh, this offended me. And by the way, that's the guy that offended me. So that's the first time that it became that I understood that it was a thing.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I am hearing more about this thing, but I'm not hearing anybody talk about it as a thing. It's really only been in my personal knowledge. It's only been probably within the last 5 years that I've heard people begin to talk about it as this thing, proxy violence, as something that we need to be looking at in the Black community. So
Yeah.
if you think about even just within the last few months, so let's talk about even just the last few months cases that got attention. So I'm sure many of you heard about, was it just a week or so ago, young man is in McDonald's, a McDonald's worker, and a woman is in there and she's complaining about her fries being cold. I don't know if she got into an argument with the worker, what transpired. Whatever transpired inside, she thought it was necessary to continue it. She called her son. I don't know if I don't know those details where he was, but he was able to get to her, so I'm assuming like maybe in the car or parking lot. And he ends up killing this worker. Now on top of that, what we do know about that case is that the son already had been already had a rap sheet.
Yeah.
So she made
She knew.
this call to someone, son or not, that you knew was violent.
Right.
What are we doing? So now so you have a young Black man dead, and you have a Black man that is going to do
Going to
some
prison.
serious time,
Yeah.
if not life.
Yeah.
If not life. So, and it's like, for what? Some McDonald's fries? We're doing that, Black women.
Yeah.
We
For
we are belittling the value of our men over these things. Okay, so that was last week. A month ago, um, in New York, the video went viral. The young man in the bodega in Harlem who gets stabbed in the neck and bleeds out because he comes into the store because he's his partner, girlfriend, whatever she was to him, is upset because her card is declined and the chips that she wants to buy she can't buy. And so according to the article, the worker took the chips back from the child. She's upset about this. She goes to get her boyfriend. He comes into the store and he attacks the worker, and the worker defends himself. And I use the word defends himself because this is what he got off on. So he was originally charged for murder, and then after seeing the video, the charges were dropped. So he stabs this man in the neck and he bleeds out. And so now she's partnerless, and her child is fatherless.
And so for me, my knee-jerk reaction, sister, is to go back to what I hear so many of these ignorant ass black women say. They talk about how black men don't protect black women. I'm trying not to say fuck you. There are so many men in prison, black men, behind defending black women. So I don't want to say fuck you, but I'm probably going to say fuck you. Because so many of us are risking our freedom, risking our lives over something that I want. And you know what? I'm just going to put this out there because I've been there personally with a demon who I used to call my sister. Now, I don't mind saying this in public because fuck her. I'll say fuck you to her. Because she used to start shit with people, literally wind me up and push me out there. And it took me a long time to realize that she didn't care what happened to me. That's why I don't even deal with her right now. She's dead to me. Like, I know people say that, but I mean it. Like, I funeralized her, eulogized her. She's dead. She's dead. She's dead. Because she would put me in really horrible situations in the name of defending her, but she didn't defend me. And by defending me, here's what I mean. I mean that if sisters, if you've got a man who will go out there and catch a case over you, your job is to stay out of those situations. Your job is not to flare things up. Your job is to try to be as cool as possible so that that brother doesn't have to do all of that. But that was her thing. She thought it was fly to, basically have her little brother go out, jumping in people's faces, jumping on people, and acting a goddamn fool. And the last situation, she almost had me go across state lines, multiple felonies to beat and possibly end someone. And she was okay with it, even though everyone else told her, oh no, don't call Darryl, don't get him involved. And as soon as they said that, yeah, that's exactly the first thing she did. Lying, oh, no one's gonna do anything. They're just gonna let me be out. So it's personal to me. So when I hear women saying stuff like black men don't protect us, that's why I want to say fuck you. Because so many of us are protecting black women that we're going to jail, cemetery. It's really, really bad, and it's over nothing. To quote the immortal poet Common, black men are out here getting their lives changed over nothing. Over nothing. I've had women that I was dating get into an argument with me, and suddenly they want to have family members come and get at me. Like, really? So now you want me potentially shooting somebody in the face or somebody catching me, slipping and throwing me a beat down, whatever, because you're mad?
Because you're mad.
Because you're mad.
Because you're mad.
That's a problem. And we got to do better. And we got to do better starting with the brothers. Brothers, you can't just immediately go out here and create a violent situation because some woman that you love has said some stuff to you that may or may not be true. Can't happen. It's it's yeah. We got to do something different, Denise.
We got to do something different. But let me tell you. Let me just mention one other case, and then I want to go back to how this is personal to you.
Yes.
So in March of this year, and I'm sure again we heard, many of us heard about this, happened in New York. Lady is in, sisters in the Dunkin' Donuts, and a brother is
Mm-hmm.
standing, what she felt too close to her. I don't know, maybe she's thinking it's the pandemic, get away from me. I don't know what she was thinking, but whatever she was thinking, she was offended enough where, and this, I use this word specifically because this word was used in the article, the news article about it. It said that she sized her man up
Mm.
to approach this brother that was in the Dunkin' Donuts, and he shot this brother. So again, you have another dead black man. So in terms of what you're saying about it being personal, I did run across something that I want to read.
Okay.
Um, I saw this post, and it was posted about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And it's, a brother, and this is what he writes. He says, "One of the things I've experienced in life was an expectation that I would be the sword for women of my tribe. I distinctly recall the discomfort I felt when my ex wife asked me what would I do if someone gave her a hard time in a bar or similar situation. I didn't know what to say at first, partially because I had never considered that was something I'd ever encounter. When I told her I probably wouldn't do anything, she berated me for not being willing to defend her. I responded that if she was in physical danger, I'd absolutely protect her, but I wasn't going to pick a fight because someone said something that offended her. She was clearly unhappy and unsatisfied with me. Is that not the most insane thing?
Yeah.
Just the idea that you, as a woman, are even thinking. Now, he didn't say his girlfriend, he
Yeah.
didn't say his boo, he didn't say some chick I'm dating, right? He said his ex wife.
Yeah.
Now that might have been why she was why she became the ex,
That's
because
right.
he started thinking she on something different.
Yeah.
And what she was describing again was not anything that was a danger to her, that was placing that a scenario where you are placed unbeknowingly in harm's way.
Yeah.
Because this world is crazy. So many things can happen. She was talking about what happens when I'm sitting at a bar chilling and somebody say something and I ain't feeling it. What are you gonna do? Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's not love. That's not love. And sisters, we need to understand, when we are doing those things with our men, we are shouting to the world that we think of our men as disposable. Because
Yes.
not only are we putting our men in danger, we are putting the another man in danger.
That's right.
And I don't care what he said. These our sensibility. We are a people that have are the descendants of those who were kidnapped and under the practice of some of the most barbaric behavior. And we have sensibilities because somebody said something to us.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Queens, it doesn't add up. We want to be queens. Understand that that's our job. On
Yes.
that, I always find it interesting how so many people say, "Oh, they're playing chess, not checkers." Sisters, if you play chess, if you understand the game, and I do, I've taught my children. I understand the game. The queen has one task, one assignment. and that is
Hmm.
to protect her king. And so
Yes.
what that means, sisters, is that we don't put them in harm's way. And that's what we are doing with these ridiculous ideas of protection. And and I'm going to throw this out here, sisters, I'm not no scholar. But I'm going to tell you one day I am going to do this study because I absolutely believe this with every fiber of my being, that our understanding or our definition of protection is this bullshit that we saw and that has been carried. This was practiced for 200 years, where starting with chattel slavery through Jim Crow, 100, what is it, 150 years or something like that of Jim Crow,
Hmm.
where white women, because their sensibilities were offended, could look at their father, their brother, their uncle, the store owner down the street, right?
Yeah.
Their partner, their husband, whomever, whatever white man was available,
Whoever was available.
whoever was available, he offended me. He
And
looked
that
at,
Negro was going to die.
and he was going to die.
Yeah.
He was going to die. Do you understand, sisters? Do we even begin to think about the aphrodisiac, the aphrodisiac that must have been for white women to know you have that kind of power?
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
be able to call on any white man and say that something happened to you. No
Hmm.
one's going to think to prove it. No one cares to prove it. And it didn't even have to be anything, because as Ida B. Wells said, we all know that there may be some goings on, and I'm paraphrasing her because this is not exactly what she said, but there was some goings on between white women and black men, because white women had a penchant for black men. But what we
Yeah.
also know is that black women weren't running up and down the South raping white women.
Yeah.
So you have these white women who were making these ridiculous accusations. He was in the same space that I was in. He breathed, the same time that I, inhale. I mean, this is this. I'm being a little bit facetious here, but it's that level of triviality, right? That white women were able to start in motion the ending of a black man's life, and in the most horrific way.
Yes.
So when we as black women talk about black men don't protect us, or we set in motion things to be protected, we are essentially mimicking the very
The white
thing
woman.
that white women did under white supremacy to our men.
Yes.
We have to check ourselves on that. It doesn't look any different, and I dare somebody to argue with me that it
Mhm.
looks different. I
Because
don't
it's
I don't I don't see the difference. I don't see
yeah.
the even in the situation with, and I don't want to bring back any painful memories, but even in the situation with the Will Smith and Chris Rock unfortunate situation,
Yeah.
so many black women took up an anthem. Oh my God, I'm so glad that, a black man is protecting a black woman. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. We even had one of our congressional representatives who tweeted in support, and then a tweet got, I guess, yanked back, or whatever you call
Right.
that. I don't know. I'm not that technologically savvy about how that stuff works, but whatever she did, she
It's
took the tweet back.
recalled.
Recall that thing, right? She took it back,
Yeah.
and of course, somebody saw it, and because people are always looking, as
Yeah.
we should be. But she tweeted in support of, being able to protect black women. And how in the world we saw that as a protection of black women because somebody said something about you, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. So now what happens? You have, this incredible. celebrity who is now trying to understand what in the world was I thinking. You know, his, I don't care what anybody says, his reputation, for me, I think has suffered. And I
for
so
yeah,
I
a lot
heard
of
from
people.
him. Will he
Yeah.
recover? Yeah, I mean, you know, people recover. You know, he might not make $15 million. He might only make $10 million of it. I don't know how. But my point is that he's not going to be viewed as in the same light as he was because of this incident. And
That's
in the
right.
same vein, you have the recipient of the violence, because that's what it was.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. The recipient of it, who has to eat that, who had to undergo that humiliation, who had to think to himself, do I fuck him up?
Yeah.
You know, do I go toe to toe with this? And then we're two black men on a national stage, you know, hitting everything, touching every wall up in the
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Or do I have to eat this? And
Well,
he
and I'm not sure that fucking him up was an option because Chris Rock is about 80 pounds, soaking wet with some boots on. But I take your point though.
Right,
Uh,
but you know, I mean, but you know, that's true. Maybe he would not have come out on top. But I don't know too many men that are going to let, you know, regardless of the size difference, I don't know too many men that's
we're
going to
just
let
gonna take
another man slap
yeah,
you,
yeah,
not
and
punch you,
slap you, which is
slap
worse.
you.
You know, I was trying to explain that to some people how that was worse. No, because a punch would hurt more. I'm like, well, that's because you don't understand manhood. Because if you are a man, the worst thing that someone can do another man is to slap you because he's devaluing you while
Yes,
being violent towards you.
yes,
He's
yes.
basically saying, you're not human, you're a bitch, you know? So
Right.
I'm not, you're not worth the punch. But so the thing with Will, though, is there's all, and I don't want to go through the
Right, right.
entire, but,
Hmm.
you know, that dude, he was being henpecked, because that woman he's married to is just not a good person. She's just not. He's
Hmm.
being henpecked and going through all kind of changes. Plus, he had to hear the public discourse of black men not protecting black women. And folks got to understand, even at that level, he's hearing that. And he's laughing. Jada's laughing. And then she stops laughing. And he looks over at her and he sees her pain or her
Hmm.
feigned pain, and now he's like, I gotta do something. I gotta act on it. And that's what he thought made sense. Bad move, bad decision, but this was initiated by his wife. So I'm like, he probably needs to get out of that situation like Will. Blink twice if you need to be rescued. Just we'll come get you, brother. So, you know, there's a situation where black men are being weaponized, typically against other black men,
The black men.
but they're being weaponized by black women. Like, how do you think that's fly? It's not. It's not. I got into it. Well, I'm not going to say the place, but a very, very public place about 20 years ago. It was really, really ugly because I was with a woman who couldn't shut her fucking mouth. And so a couple of dudes were coming after her. And so now here I am, grown ass man, in public boxing.
Mm.
Her response was how sexy it was. My response was, you are worthless. You are a problem.
Yeah.
Because at this stage in the game, I think if I'm with a woman and she's inciting violence, I'd probably pimp walk away. Be like, well, baby, I hope you can handle this because I'm just not really trying to be looped into violence anymore. Like with my former sister, and that's exactly what she is, my former sister. She's nothing to me. She's dirt. That's why I had to let her go because I couldn't let her continue to wind me up and push me out there um, at people. That's not a good situation. Hey, Denise, use the same link to join back in. I guess something happened and you uh, got knocked off. And when I see you, I'll bring you right back in. But that was a horrible situation dealing with her, having to be connected with someone who doesn't know how to manage their behavior, doesn't know how to keep from putting me in a bad situation. Hey, we got you back.
Thanks.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, so that's why for me, not only will I never deal with her again in this lifetime, maybe next lifetime will be butterflies.
Right, right. Yeah.
Miss Badu, but this lifetime, fuck her.
And it's really, really sad that we're even having this conversation, because again, it goes back to how we as Black women are looking at our men as so disposable. And this isn't just, oh, you're doing it with your man, right? It stems to your man, your just your friend. There was a case last year, a young man, he had just left his mother's home, went to live with a friend. I think that baby might have been there all of a week. And she and her mother got into an argument with her son's father, and they called him out the house to help, and he gets killed. So this idea of men, Black men being disposable is not anything that we can take lightly. There is no way to call it anything other than we look at Black men as disposable.
That's right.
If you are willing to engage your man, your husband, your best friend, your
Your
brother,
brother,
your
cousin,
your cousin, your son, we're doing
yes,
it to our sons. If you are willing to engage them in something with another Black man that potentially puts them in harm's way and certainly puts another Black man in harm's way, we are saying to the world that we think our men are disposable. The second thing that we are saying to men is that, excuse me, to the world, is that somehow something as simple as our virtue has a value that is above and beyond life.
that's right. That's right. That statement is definitely being made. You know, there are women I've dated who created situations that could have potentially be could have potentially been horrible. And thank God I either stepped away from it or just, you know, didn't, materialize the way that the woman
Mm-hmm.
wanted. But I want to go back. You were talking about what used to be and, what the white women used to do, well, still do, but how open it was back
How
then.
open it was.
Black women are really pissing me off misinterpreting Brother Malcolm's words. They love to say, well, Malcolm X said black women are the most unprotected women in America.
Yes.
And now I want to say, fuck you again, because that's not what he was talking about. Brother Malcolm was talking about the fact that this nation, everything, the police, the attorney, all of these, the entire
Mhm.
law, I'm sorry,
No, exactly. The
the,
establishment,
the
government, white
establishment, the
supremacy. Yes.
government, law enforcement is geared towards protecting white women. None of that is geared towards protecting black women. That's what he meant when
That's
he said black women are unprotected. He was not, as a black man, saying we just don't protect our women, because the whole movement was about being able to protect our families. So for
absolutely.
these, whoo, I gotta catch myself. For these women
I
today,
won't let you fall.
thank you, sister. Thank you. For these sisters today to sit here and say, Brother Malcolm knew these men don't protect us. The black man today, blah, blah. So it's like, shut up. Most of the men in prison are there behind a black woman, whether it's because he's defending her or doing some act so that he could provide for her in the way that her twisted mind thinks makes sense. That's why they're in prison. Dudes aren't in jail because they were just walking down the street eating a tuna fish sandwich. You know? I mean, they've done some things, and typically it was at the behest and on the behalf of a black woman. And if anybody's upset by that, I really can't find a damn to give. It is what it is.
Yeah. And what else is interesting about, that quote that is abused, and that now, in my humble opinion, as a black woman, lover of black people, lover of black men, um, I find it an incredible dishonor to Malcolm X.
Very,
And
yes.
and and I find it incredibly ignorant upon us as consumers, right, of
Yeah.
propaganda. You cannot take that quote, or you should not take that quote, without at least understanding the context in which it was given. First of all,
That's right.
he's like, as you said, he's talking about the establishment. But if I'm not mistaken, at you know he might have been visiting, I believe, a church when he
Yeah.
first gave that speech. And in that speech, he had a moment when he was talking directly to sisters, and he asked sisters, who taught you to hate yourself?
Yes.
Who taught
Yes.
you to hate yourself? So this was a conversation that he was having with us about the things that this nation brings upon us, right? The
Yeah.
things that they bring upon us, the ways that they have subjugated us, the ways that they have persecuted us, and the ways that we have responded because we fell into this trap of not knowing who we are,
That's
of
right.
getting lost about who we are as black women, as black men, as black people.
Yes.
And yet, the only thing we took away from that speech, and it's a very dynamic speech, as is all of his speeches. If,
Absolutely.
and if you want to, brush up on Brother Malcolm's speeches, you can get a book because I have them, and it's easy to find.
Very easy.
Very easy to find. So the fact that we keep taking this quote, and again, it's nothing short of abuse
Yeah.
and misuse of it, to perpetuate an a narrative and an agenda. A narrative about black men, but and an agenda to further solidify this idea that we don't need them, that they are useless. And who's telling us this? Who is telling us this? Because I ain't saying it.
You're right. I ain't saying it.
I ain't saying it. So who's telling us this, right? Where are we getting this notion from? And not to mention, there is no data that supports this at all. In fact, the
At
data
all.
shows otherwise.
That's
The
right.
you, I mean, brother, you just talked about what's happening in the prisons. If you pull that data about how they got there, I'm sure it will tell a story of black men attempting to
Absolutely.
protect black women.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in the attempt, something goes wrong and they land in prison.
And they land in prison. So again, we've talked about the messages of disposability of black
Yes.
men. We've talked about this value, this unreal value being placed on women's virtues and their sensibilities. But also, let's talk about the expectation of aggression.
Yes.
So, because you're not saying to this man, protect me, because you think he's going to go and talk with someone.
Mhm.
let me have a conversation with you, brother. Let me talk to you for a minute.
Right,
You are expecting that there is a level of aggression that is going to occur and that should occur.
right. And not only are you, seeking it, but you're delighted when it occurs, no matter what the outcome.
No matter what the outcome. And for me, I think the most disappointing thing, going back to the situation between, or I shouldn't say situation, but what happened with Chris Rock and Will Smith, for me, the most disappointing and simultaneously the most revealing thing about it was Black women's reactions.
Yeah, yeah.
We're
Oh,
applauding that. Yeah, he will. Yeah,
right.
right.
I wish these
No.
other brothers would do that.
Wish these other brothers would do it. No, no, sister.
Yeah,
No, sisters.
that's not it.
That's not it. I have a really close friend. I've known her, 30 plus years. And she and her husband just celebrated last year their 30th wedding anniversary.
Nice.
And she has a rule. Now she and her husband have date night. They started, instituting date night. And yeah, she's our age, so they're
Yeah,
our age, so they've been doing that date night thing for a minute.
for a
And
while. That's dope.
that's dope. And they like to get it in a club every once in a while.
Yeah.
But she has a rule. Well, they have a rule. First rule is they don't dance with anybody else under no circumstances, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Second thing, they're not inviting anybody in the party unless somebody else has a partner. So you can't just come up to them and start talking. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
But the other rule that she has, and I'm sure her husband doesn't know she has this rule, and he doesn't need to know she has this rule. But the rule that she has is unless somebody is choking the shit out of her, she is not going to call his name for anything.
Mm.
She's on the way to the bathroom and somebody might, touch her, or, try to grab the hand or do something like that. She's not telling him. If somebody says something to her, out of pocket, she's not telling him.
Mm.
She does not tell. And the reason is,
I know the
according to
reason.
her, is because she wants her man alive when they walk out that club.
That is the queen protecting the king.
That is the
She's,
queen.
she's playing chess, not
She is
checkers.
playing chess, not checkers.
Chess, not chess. See, and that's, man, that is so magnificent because so many of our sisters are so empty and twisted that they need, or they think they need, a display of violence to be shown how a man feels about them.
Mm-hmm.
When the reality of it is that you're basically showing him that you don't give a damn about him. There's our friend Dathan O'Banion. What's up, brother?
What's
Yeah,
up? Shout
that's
out to Dathan because his birthday was yesterday.
yeah. Happy belated birthday, brother. I did post on your timeline. I missed it yesterday, but I posted today. Happy birthday, and hope you get at least 100 more. You know, but yeah. So we've got a situation where so many so-called sisters are
Mm-hmm.
out here throwing black men away,
Throwing them away.
throwing us away. So you get into a situation with a dude or a woman that you can probably handle yourself, but you got to go get Tyrone in them. You got to go get
Mm-hmm.
Pookie in them. And then
Mm-hmm.
they got to come and handle somebody. Now somebody's dying, somebody's crying, some slow singing, somebody going to prison because you just felt like you wanted to feel whatever, and it's reckless, and it's stupid, and we're in trouble because of it. We're in trouble because of it because now a lot of brothers like me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you get a little age and wisdom to yourself, there's certain women you're not going to deal with. So that's one more piece that you put to the puzzle that says I can't I can't continue to be with you. I can't date you. I can't be around you because if I'm a responsible man with anything to lose, you you're the enemy.
Right,
You're
right,
the enemy. So all these women who all want a man to protect me, when a woman starts saying that, I'm like, what am I protecting you from? Is somebody at your door? Because you need to call 911.
right,
Is
right.
somebody about to come and get you while I'm sitting here? Because if that's the case, we both need to leave. Like so, all of this stuff that our sisters have put on black men and want us to put the cape on. Yeah, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. You know, it's not
It's
working.
it's not a good thing, and as you said, it I think as you said, I agree with you. I think it creates just another barrier for us, for those of us who are looking to be in solid relationships with men, because it seems to me that that kind of behavior, could very well be detectable, as well. Now, in these
Yeah,
cases, you know like if you I and I don't know how to explain it other than that. If you are this kind of woman where you, because it's a sense of entitlement that just absolutely makes it's weird.
yeah,
It's weird, it's
yeah.
illogical, it's nonsensical. And
Dangerous too.
so yeah, and so I think your aura, would kind of, present itself in that way. But I think the other thing that we also want to talk about is, if we are going to continue to be so offended, by these things, and again, as brother, as you said, there are so many black men in jail behind these situations.
Yes.
I want to look more closely at these situations. And you and I were talking about it earlier when I was trying to find, just preliminary hits. I couldn't get anything. Everything was coming up about black women, which, it's almost like there's not a footprint for black men, which is
Right.
insane, because we
Yeah,
know that these things are happening, because we can look at, we know who's in prison and why they're in prison. So there should be a footprint. But I would dare say that I don't think black women would be looking for this twisted and perverse chivalry if there was a white man who was perpetrating these kinds of offenses to our virtue.
yes.
And that's very interesting to me, that it is, I haven't, hey, again, this is not anything that I've studied. I am simply saying, in the cases that I have clocked, the cases that have caught my attention, and when I say caught my attention, meaning it's something that I saw,
Right.
I have yet to see a case where a woman has said to her black man, "Oh, this white man said something to me and I want you to take care of it." And that's important to note, because I can tell you, as a black woman, we have been offended by white men. So let's not get that twisted. Let's not tell
Yeah,
that lie.
yeah.
Let's not tell that lie. We have been. We have had some, we have been offended. We have had more than our sensibilities offended.
That's
And
right.
so the idea that we say nothing, is that I don't know, is that what's happening? But the point that I'm trying to make is, we see, again, these black men as, one of them is not going to come out alive, maybe, and
Mhm.
and somebody's going to pay dearly for it. And
Yeah,
so this idea, right, where there are real offenses that happen to us via white supremacy, we're we're kind of quiet. It looks like. I,
Right.
I'm guessing. I don't know for sure, but again, I haven't seen it. And I want us to think about that. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, don't start twisting my words, sisters. I'm not saying, oh, so the next time, you know, that white man at work say something out of pocket to you, then you need to tell your husband. And that's not what I'm saying, right?
Right.
I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that we need to ask ourselves why we are so free and unreserved about basically using men as weapons against other Black men.
Yeah.
Why is that so egregious to us and other situations are not? And I think that the answer is real simple. And it's because somewhere along the lines, we have not considered other men as disposable.
Yeah. Yeah. Not even Hispanic or Asian men.
Not
When
even
they,
Hispanic or
yeah,
Asian men.
when they run into these nail salons and the Asians talk to them like less than a piece of shit.
You ain't coming back with your man. They will lock you up in the shop. You ain't coming back with your man talking about they done spit on me, they hit me. You're not doing any of that.
You'll be right
We
back
are
in there
not
next
doing
week.
any of that.
Yeah, be right back in there next week
Right
getting
back
those
in there.
fake nails. So Dathan says, speaking of offense, care to chime in on Big Stacy? I'm gonna see. I want to see if Denise wants to do that first. Dathan, her entitled demand for Black men to vote for her in Georgia, with absolutely nothing stated as a reason that Black men should, as she educates us on why we should cast our vote for her and her anti-Black male posture. Whoo! My sister, it's yours.
Woo! Okay. What was the question again?
Good one, Dathan. He wants to know about Stacey Abrams,
Yeah.
her entitled demand for Black men to vote for her in Georgia,
Yeah.
with absolutely nothing stated as a reason for why we should, and how
Well,
she educates us,
yeah.
educates is in quotes, on why we should cast our vote for her and her anti Black male posture.
Yeah, so, I've seen some of her interviews recently, and I found them to be very interesting, so to
Yeah.
speak. She's not any different than Kamala
Kamoto.
was. She's no different than her.
Yeah.
Um she's no different than many of the women that were being considered as VP. I wrote a post um when it was in the wind that Biden was considering a Black VP and a female Black VP. Let me be very specific about that. And I wrote a post about it. And essentially, and actually one of my posts came up in my memories today, in my Facebook memories, and so I ran it again. I said I still feel this way,
Yeah.
and it's that we didn't need a Black female VP candidate, and we certainly did not need the one who became vice president. And I think, and when I say we, I'm talking about Black folks. What white people do politically is what they do politically. Let them do what they do politically, right?
Yes.
What we should do politically is in the same vein as what they do, which is essentially they vote for their interests. We
That's
do
right.
not.
That's right.
And because we've been convinced that it is okay to choose the lesser of two evils. Well, I don't know about you all. I did a little bit of math. It ain't my strongest suit, but I know some math. And the lesser of two evils is still what?
Still
Evil.
evil. Still evil.
It doesn't stop. When you look at that absolute value, it's still evil. So Stacey Abrams' plea, if you will, for Black men to vote for her, with no positioning in terms of um, anything concrete is very similar to,
Yeah.
like I said, what Kamala was talking about.
Camel toe.
And I would even venture to say it it may even be an extension of is he still I'm because I'm kind of lost with the where we are in the election season and everything. Is
Mhm.
Tom Perez still head of the DNC?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I stopped paying attention because
I
the
think
Democrats can
Dathan might
kick
know,
my
but
ass.
he might still be, because he ran for he was running for the primary here for governor, because he
Yeah.
started here, politically. Would never vote for him again. I haven't voted for him in, I don't know, whenever he started his career 20 years ago. So that's how little I think of him as a candidate. But
Yeah.
I just remember when in was it 20, what year are we, 2022? So
Mhm.
maybe it was 2020. And what was it, the special election in Alabama?
Mhm.
And so black women came out 95%, something like that. 95, maybe 90, even 97%. And
Yeah.
so he's at the on the podium talking about, practically whining that how black women are the backbone of, the Democratic Party. Well, first of all, that's not true,
Mhm.
because black men came out and voted. I think they voted at 93%. There's not much
Yeah.
difference between a
Gotta
night.
stop playing those
Stop
games.
playing those games with us. Stop
Yeah.
playing those games with us. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. Secondly, if you are going to call black women the backbone of the Democratic Party, then you need to do one of two things, right? You either need to reward our community
Yes.
for that,
Yes.
right? Or you need to correct the language and say that we have been the most manipulated by the Democratic Party. But you
That's
can't
right.
have it both ways. So the
Right.
way that this, Dathan, to answer Dathan's question, the way that this goes back to Stacey Abrams is that she's very much steeped in the Democratic Party.
Yes.
There is no one has had to be held accountable for what are you going to do for the black community. No one has been held accountable for being a candidate, a viable candidate at that, and you've done things that are in direct conflict with the interests of black men.
That's right.
You haven't been, no one has been held accountable for that. So for
Yeah.
her to get in front of, you know, millions of people on television and say, vote for me, you should vote for me. And she's not giving anybody any reasons, particularly black men. And the other thing, we've already continued to set this precedence where we talk to black men politically like they are children.
Yes.
You don't know
We-
anything, so just do as we do.
Well, like
There,
that bald head monkey face hoe bitch, Simone Sanders, and I'm being nice about it, but I fucking hate her. She is such an evil, evil, evil woman who hates the shit out of black men. She literally said when she was talking about Luther Campbell, who just made a comment about camel toe
Yeah,
when
he
she
read.
was
Yeah,
still
he
running.
he
Yeah,
actually wrote a really good article
I thought
about.
so,
Yeah,
and was still gonna support her. But Simone, this mud bitch, decided that black men had no reason to speak. I'm
and
tired of black men offering their unsolicited opinions.
who asked them for their unsolicited. This is what she tweeted. This is
And,
what
and
she
my
tweeted.
and my thing is, she made me so mad because it's like, look, Simone, we know you don't like black people. We know you hate black men. Stop being so comfortable with it openly because somebody's going to hand you your ass. Stop being so comfortable with it. And I'm
Yes.
because I'm sick of these black women who don't like black men, particularly, being so comfortable speaking on it as though it's regular. It's
Yeah.
not regular. It's just not.
Yeah, it's many sisters are very very comfortable with that, and so
Yeah,
like I said, we have black women have set this precedence politically where we say whatever it is that we want to say. We are so dismissive of black men.
yeah,
We tell them that their opinions do not count. That you know, and not even that you're not qualified. Is we don't want it. It's not even this conversation about, well, Luke, has, he really hasn't been a political pundit or what. It wasn't even that. It
yeah.
was just that she just said, black man, hey, look, don't nobody ask you shit. Keep
That's
your opinion.
basically,
That's basically
yeah,
what she said.
that's what she was saying.
Keep your opinions to yourself. When we
Yeah,
ask you, then you can speak. And that is so crazy that this is what we are doing as a community.
yeah,
And we are killing ourselves politically
yeah,
and economically and socially if
yeah,
we do not have the other half of our collective weighing in on what is happening to us in these arenas, right? We have no real way of overcoming or addressing or seeking justice or finding liberation or whatever it is,
yeah,
however it is you want to couch it. It's
yeah,
not going to happen.
yeah.
And we have to be really, really clear about that. And this is all tied to Black love, because we ain't got no, this is another way that we are showing that we are not loving each other,
That's
that we
right.
are not loving these brothers. We are not loving these brothers. We got to show them love. We have to extend love. We have to extend love to
Yes,
receive love. Right? It's a bi-directional thing. And as long as we continue to show the many ways that we are so dismissive of black men, the many ways that we disregard black men, the many ways that we disrespect black men. And it's not even just within our own little, this ain't no backdoor talk. This ain't no, at the reunion where we, right? We
right.
telling the world this.
Yeah.
We are telling the world
Well,
this.
and it's hurting everyone because when these sisters go out on the world stage and talk about what horrible, just low life people black men are, it's hurting black women too. Because these are the same group of people who want to be able to say, I need a man to protect me. I need a provider. I need this. I need that. Really? But you hate me. You hate me though. You want all these things, but you hate me.
You and the more you scream it from the rooftops, right, the more that white supremacy continues with its agenda,
Yes.
which continues to have. Let me say this, sisters. Our men are not winning. They aren't winning. They aren't winning when they are the most targeted by police officers. They're not winning when they are the most likely to do time and they are innocent. They are not. They are
Yeah.
not winning when they are the most likely to need mental health. They are not winning when they are the most likely to be homeless. Right?
Yeah.
They are not winning.
Their children.
They're not winning.
Yeah.
And we're contributing to that. When we keep telling the world that, yeah, you were right. All those hundreds of years ago, when you were trying to figure out how you were going to mask, how barbaric you were as a people. And then you decided to come up with this excuse that our men were inherently violent. So therefore, you had to respond in a very violent way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we agree with that nonsense. We agree with that nonsense. Keep doing what you're doing. That's the
Absolutely.
message.
That's the message.
Message to the world.
That's the message. And we have to be careful. Um, Black women should be careful because right now it's the black man's turn to be targeted. Black women. Your turn's coming. And you got to be careful because when your turn comes, you're going to want us to come to your rescue. And unfortunately, a lot of men are going to remember that when we were under attack, who came to our rescue? To quote the old poet Keith of Sweat, who came to our rescue? Nobody, baby. And many men might return in favor. So you can't put us out there and attack us and then say you want to be protected. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So in that war, yeah, we're not winning. You're not winning. White supremacy is winning.
White supremacy is winning.
You can keep being mad at black men saying that they're doing this, that, and the third, but yeah, white supremacy is winning. So how about even if you're not winning as much as you want and you think black men are going, how about stopping white supremacy from winning? How about that? How about stopping white supremacy
How about that?
through white feminism from winning? Because they're
How
winning.
about, they are winning. And, and for the love of God, all of this affects our children.
Yes.
All of this affects our children.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
and if we are not, as mothers, not even willing to take a pause and see how this is affecting our children,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then that to me is one of the biggest gauges of how far away from finding liberation as a collective we are.
It's not about liberation anymore. The masses of black people are trying to get the bag. They're trying to figure out who they can use to get to where they think they want to be. This isn't about us as a collective anymore. Very few of us are collective minded to the point where when I tell people, especially some of these sisters, that I'm a black nationalist, they're like, what's that? What that is? And we've got to get to the point, and I hate to say this, only because it's true. Black women are hurting the most because there are more black women over 40 than ever before who are over 40, unmarried, with no children. They have emotional difficulties. They are self medicating, all the while pretending that, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. No, you're not. We're not okay. You're not okay. You're complaining because no one will provide for you, no one will protect you, but you're turning to the person you want to provide and protect and telling him he ain't shit. So guess what's happening now? Now black men are standing up and saying, you know what? If I go on a date and this woman demonstrates that she doesn't like me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
out. So you can't even do a sex thing anymore and try to create something based on that. Number one, because sex is so plentiful, more than it ever has been before, from the most beautiful women on the planet. But number two, because men are starting to elevate to a point where they just, well, it even really isn't even about elevation. It's about tired of being abused by people that you're simultaneously trying to love. It's like kicking a puppy. The puppy's coming to lick your leg and you kick it.
Yeah.
Well, that's how a lot of black women have been treating black men. And so at some point, yeah, there's gonna come a reckoning. The chickens, as Brother Malcolm said, the chickens are gonna come home to roost. It's gonna be ugly. It is ugly.
It is ugly.
So, hey Denise, another powerful one. Strong, strong, strong. Yeah.
We love our people. We love our people. And
They don't love the truth.
this is, this is love. And
Yeah.
people can, they can be offended by it. And that's not our concern. Our concern is we got to have these conversations because it's real. you know
Yeah,
Sisters, be queens,
yeah.
and protect our black men. Stop
Because then
sending
we will protect.
Yes, stop
Yeah,
sending them in these streets
yeah.
to defend
Foolishness.
foolishness. It's not
Yeah,
worth it
and
for
it's not worth.
anybody. For
It's not
anybody.
worth it. We got to
Yeah.
learn how to love each other again. We got to learn how to talk to each other again. We have to start creating new rules to be around each other again. And that's what Black Love Today is about. So we're building, and the thing is that you're either going to be trying to build things up or you're a part of the wrecking crew. Stop wrecking it.
Yeah.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself
But you wreck yourself.
because we're all
Absolutely.
getting hurt by it. Yeah. So thank you, my sister. We're gonna do another one tomorrow. Join me if you can.
I
Uh,
certainly shall.
yeah,
Thank you, brother
yeah.
Warrior. I appreciate you, brother
We're gonna
Darryl.
make it happen. We're gonna keep doing it
We're
until
gonna
it gets
keep
done.
doing it until it gets
Until
done.
it gets done. Yep.
All right.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Peace and blessings, everyone.
Peace.
Peace.
All right. Until the next time.
Until next time.